Good morning, church. Welcome to Church Online as we continue our Concrete and Colors series. We want to welcome you here. We've been looking at the saints and poets that have kind of shaped Christianity throughout the years, that have given us some deep thoughts, some deep understanding of how to live this faith out. And this morning, we're looking at Saint Teresa of Lisieux. And what makes Saint Teresa so special is she actually only lived until she was 24 years old. 24. In 24 short years on earth, she was able to realize something about herself, about her faith in God, her walk in God that so impacted and shaped those around her. See, Teresa was born into an incredible family. She had a whole bunch of older sisters, but her mother passed away when she was 4 years old. This seems to be a common theme. I don't know if you guys are catching this yet. I don't know why. I don't know what's behind this. The last two, poet and saint that we talked about, both lost their mothers. I don't know what that's about, other than to say this. It says that Saint Teresa learned resilience at a young age. And there is something to be said about learning resilience at a young age. But what made Teresa special was Teresa looked around her. She was accepted into a convent at a young age and wanted to become a nun. And Teresa kind of looked around and she kind of realized that, she just wasn't able to live up to the hype of some of the other people around her. And she realized that for her walk with God was just about little steps. It was just about little moments. This is what it says that she wrote in one of her journals. She says, "I will seek out a means of getting to heaven by a little way, very short and very straight, a little way that is wholly new. We live in an age of inventions. Nowadays, the rich need not trouble to climb the stairs. They have lifts instead. Well, I mean to try and find a lift by which I may be raised unto God, for I am too tiny to climb the steep stairway of perfection. Thine arms then, O Jesus, are the lift which must raise me up even unto heaven. To get there, I need not grow. On the contrary, I must remain little. I must become still less." See, Saint Teresa understood that the way to God was not about these grandiose steps of perfection. It wasn't about trying to live up to the hype around her. It was about understanding that for her, it was about these little moments. These little acts of kindness, these little acts of love to those around her. And that's how she grew in her intimacy with God. And I think that's such an incredible reminder for us today in this culture where our whole lives are documented on Instagram and TikTok, and we try to take our whole lives and display them for everyone, and we're all constantly trying to compare ourselves to what everyone else is doing and what's going on around us, is to get back to this true understanding of love. See, John says in 1 John, he says, "This is how we've come to understand and experience love. Christ sacrificed his love for us. This is why we ought to live sacrificially for our fellow believers and not just be out for ourselves. If you see some brothers or sisters in need and have the means to do something about it, but turn a cold shoulder and do nothing, what happens to God's love? It disappears, and you made it disappear. My dear children, let's not talk about love. Let's practice real love. This is the only way we'll know we're truly living in God's reality. It's also the way to shut down debilitating self-criticism, even when there is something to it. For God is greater than our worried hearts and knows more about us than we do ourselves." What an incredible truth for us to remember this morning. See, the reality is that a lot of us do have debilitating self-criticism. We got beliefs about ourselves. We've got thoughts about who we are, about who's going to love us and who's going to accept us. And the only way to battle that back is to practice real love. And real love puts others before self. It's the way that we silence our own doubt. It's the way that we silence shame in ourselves, is we press into God's love and we look for those little acts of kindness. We look for those little moments, those little opportunities. It's a smile, it's a thank you, it's just a hug. Maybe not in COVID season, right? But it's this ability to love those around us well. And it's not these big statements. It's not these over, the top expressions. It's the little things. It's those little things that we do that allow people to see God's love in us and moving through us. And so this week, we just want to remind you, we want to, to seek God, but to see him in those small moments. Like St. Teresa of Lisieux, that you would see him in those small moments, those small steps. That you would trust that it's the arms of God that are lifting you up. He's the one who's going to help your worried heart. He's going to be the one that silences that self-criticism. And it starts with love. Our hearts were made for love. It is the place that God wants us to be in. To understand that he first loved us, and now we respond to loving him by loving his people. C3 Church, you guys are awesome. We hope to see you guys next week at church at the Broadway Theater. We'll see you guys then.